Hi folks, welcome to another episode of the Rifle Church channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about a quote that I read today, and it came from Dr. Jordan Peterson, and it reads like this: "Put the things you can control in order, repair what is in disorder, and make what is already good better." That is essentially what I would refer to as a continuous improvement process. Okay? Put the things you can control in order. So, you can only affect the things that you have control over. So try to stay within that realm. If you go trying to change or affect things that you don't have control over, then you're going to be, let's just say, burning the midnight oil. Repair what is in disorder. Something isn't working, you need to be able to identify that and effect a plan that is going to be able to bring you out of that mess. And make what is already good better. So identifying what you know works is an important step. If it's working well, don't change it, or at least make it better. It's essentially a continuous improvement process. Most organizations, most excellent, high-performing organizations have a very solid continuous improvement process. But it's inherently obvious to me that we're lacking here in Canada when it applies to our government. They apparently don't have a continuous improvement process. So I was thinking about it today. This Jordan Peterson quote just kind of twigged something with me. So I'm going to just throw a few ideas at you. See what you think of it. Let me know what you give me some comments in the box down below. So, what kind of organizations don't have a continuous improvement process? Obviously, I think our government is one of them. For example, I mean, we can count on at least one hand, off the top of my head, at least 5 different scandals that the Liberal government has been called on, and they're repeated. I mean, a continuous improvement process would ensure that wouldn't happen again. No, these are repeated, scandals, and they're of corruption at the highest levels. I mean, for example, repeat ethics violations over and over again. Special gifts to high-ranking government officials in exchange for what? We don't know necessarily. Maybe influence. Just even, for example, our Minister of Finance, Bill Marneau, had to resign because of this. They're scandals. Conflicts of interest. Those are ethics violations, which is pretty bad if you think about it. Abuse in the workplace. Working with people who are abusive, nasty people. I mean, the Governor General of Canada resigned. Well, you got to ask yourself, so why did that person get put in that position? And who hired her? Didn't they do some basic background checks? Negligence. I think many people could consider Canada's attempt at trying to address the COVID-19 situation could be referred to as negligence. Where are we so far on the list of countries that have received a vaccine? What are we? We're something like between 30 and 40th place in the world. We're supposed to be a first world country. There's third world countries that are ahead of us. And I think that's negligence. As an example, Trudeau didn't even bother to call some of the vaccine producers to see if we could get on the list. That's something that even I can figure out. Making promises that can't be kept. For example, just today, some new gun control legislation came. Bill C-21, Bill Blair's Bill C-21 is being tabled, and it's just more gun control. Now, you got to ask yourself a question: is why is gun control such a big problem? We already have some of the world's most stringent gun control legislation already. Every day, I'm a gun owner. Every day by at least 10 o'clock in the morning, I've received a security background check. Every single licensed Canadian firearms owner in Canada, every day of every week, of every month, of every year, every single day, usually by around 10 o'clock in the morning, we've all got a CPIC, security background check, performed on us. What else do you need? I mean, all these different things that they're just kind of compounding on it. Why focus on us when we're not the problem? And why is crime out of control in this country? Why are gangs and criminal networks getting off scot-free? Who's paying for the bail? Why are they just continually going into the jail system and out? Why is this? These are called patterns. These are called trends. When you get into continuous improvement, those are things you pay attention to. Obviously, this government doesn't. And the non-stop virtue signaling at every moment of every opportunity, trying to take advantage of any situation before you have any inkling of the facts. For example, the 2020 Nova Scotia massacre, where Gabriel Wortman killed 22 people and I think he injured 3 others. Just the carnage and the damage and the pain and suffering that he was able to inflict. They were grandstanding before they even knew the basic details. They came out with an order in council to ban 1,500 different types of firearms that legal firearms owners are able to own, and the AR-15 was one of them. You know, we already had one of the world's most stringent firearms legislation, and yet we're in this situation now. I'm not going to get into that, but it's gun control, not crime control. One is easy, the other is hard. Non-transparency. So this is one that I'm going to bring up when it comes to the Liberals. They're not transparent at all. I don't think the Liberals have answered one single question honestly in the House of Commons since they came into power in 2015. I don't think that they have. It's always the same non-answer, kind of this political dance they do to avoid answering the question, and it's always the same pattern. It's always the same answer. Non-answer, I should say. It's called political speak. They're regulating Canadians up the yin-yang. They're putting us into financial insolvency. The amount of money our expenditures were much higher than our gross domestic product. And you can only do that for a while before you face what's called a fiscal cliff. And man, I'm telling you, we're approaching that. And it's called negligence, financial negligence. Especially when your Minister of Finance has to resign. And in many ways, this is the way I see it, you might disagree, is that the Liberals frequently do the opposite of what they say they're going to do. So you need to be able to define what they're saying and then expect they're actually going to do the opposite of that. Now, I know that it sounds bad, going on about the Liberals and so on, but truth of the matter is that I don't really blame the Liberal Party itself. I don't blame a single member of Parliament for their incompetence, really. Because they didn't elect themselves into power. It was Canadians that elected them into power. And so when it comes to blame, it's the electorate that I blame. I don't blame the individual members of Parliament for their incompetence. I blame the people that voted for them. But Trudeau's Liberals want an election, and they want it soon because the minority government that they are currently have, it's inconvenient to them, and in order for them to fulfill the ideology that they have in their cuckoo heads, they want a majority. They don't want to have to negotiate or rely on the other parties in order to pass their legislation. They don't want to. It's inconvenient for them. And so what they're doing is that they're going to rely on the Liberal brand to carry them through. And Liberal announcements like today this gun control legislation that they've tabled, Bill C-21. It's so blatantly hollow. It's designed to give you a false sense of security while accomplishing nothing. Right? It's feel-good legislation that does nothing but to harm a small minority group in Canada. Gun owners. Yeah, minority group. I thought we were supposed to protect minority groups. So I'm not upset about the guns, or no, the Liberals taking them away. I'm not actually upset about that. It's just a hunk of steel and aluminum, okay? But what upsets me is that you continue to buy their story when they're just like, it's a rare thing to be able to meet somebody who can look you in the eye, directly in the eye, and lie to you. They continually fail, and yet you still buy their product. Did it ever dawn on you to question the narrative, to ask them questions, to explore what it is that they're talking about, find out why they feel the way they do? And the science, where's the science? We're supposed to be basing sound public policy on sound science and information. What happened to that? So, honestly, is it that easy to manipulate you? Or maybe you're just indifferent. You don't care. Always voted Liberal. There's these families. They've always voted Liberal, and I've always voted Liberal, and that's just the way it's going to be. But here's the thing, folks. They're not behaving like Liberals. They wrap themselves in the Liberal flag, but they ain't Liberals. Gangs and criminal networks have found sanctuary here in Canada under their governance, and because of you, the Liberal voter. Don't get me wrong, I don't like the Conservatives either. Why would you? They haven't really done anything. Even when they're in power, they don't act, they don't do anything. And maybe that's their secret, is that at least they don't make things worse. What I'm interested in is competence. And one of the pillars of competence is having a continuous improvement process, like what Jordan Peterson was talking about. Here's a CI process. 4 basic things. Identify an opportunity and plan for change. It may have been a mistake that you made, and you're going to learn from your mistake. You're going to take steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. Implement the change in a fashion that you can manage. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Basically, give it a test, see if it works. Analyze the results and determine if it made a difference. A positive difference, not a negative difference, unlike a Liberal. And if the change was positive, implement it on a wider scale. The key word being a positive change. Those are 4 basic tenets of a continuous improvement process. And it's one thing that Canada needs desperately. Cheers, and as always, Maple Leaf up.